Hello everyone, welcome. Thanks for joining us today. My name's Hillary. I'm from the Museum of Early Trades and Crafts in Madison. And since we can't have crafts at the museum right now, we're giving you some fun things to try at home. We have lots of other crafts and activities on our website, metc.org, in the METC at Home section. But today we're going to talk about how you can use your own hand to help draw some animals. So the supplies you need for this are very simple. You're going to need some paper, and you probably want a couple pieces because you may want to try different animals, but any size, type, shape, anything like that, color is fine. And then you'll need a pencil, and you'll probably want some kind of markers or colored pencils or crayons to do some decorating of the animal and its home afterward. So I'm going to talk through a couple of different ways that you can do this. You can use your 4 fingers as the 4 legs of an animal, and the thumb is the head. So you can do pretty much any 4-legged animal this way just by adjusting the position of your thumb and also how you do the back. So for example, for my polar bear here that I did my 4 fingers for the legs, and I did the thumb. I did kind of a thick thumb because they've got bigger heads, but then I pretty much did my palm for the back because they've got more rounded backs. If I want to do something like an elephant, I'd probably do a similar back, but I'd probably want a narrower and maybe a little longer on the thumb because they have that long trunk coming out there. If I were doing maybe a horse, I'd probably want a higher head, and then I'd want to draw in my own back that would go nice and low because they've got that lower back than a polar bear or elephant or something like that. So that works for most of your 4-legged animals. You could also do a bird that could end up looking a little like this, or flying like that. So for this, I'm going to trace my 4 fingers for the wing and my thumb for the head. And then to do the other side, I just flip my hand over and trace my 4 fingers again. I don't need to do the thumb the second time. Now maybe I want to do something like a squid or an octopus, something with tentacles. This one's a little trickier, but if you kind of make a bit of a claw shape with your hand, a little like this, and then lay it down on your paper, and then you'll have to kind of air trace a little bit, so that one's a little more tricky, but you can make yourself some nice tentacle shapes there. And what if I want a 4-legged creature that has shorter legs, like a turtle? Well, I can do that too. For this, I'll basically use my knuckles instead of my full fingers. We're going to come back to this though, because I'm going to do the turtle full all out in just a moment. But first, there's a couple other things you have to decide before you actually start tracing. The first is which direction you want your animal to face. Because obviously if your thumb is your head, that'll tell you which way they're facing. You can change this by moving your hand back and forth or by using your other hand. You also have to decide which hand you want to trace and what hand is going to do the tracing. So you can certainly just trace your own hand, but you may find you want a little bit of help with this, especially if the hand you want to trace is the one you usually write or draw with. You may also find that different size hands work better for different types of animals. So you may want to borrow a hand to trace if it works better than your size hand for the animal you're trying to do. Thank you. So, final thing before you start tracing, you have to figure out where in your paper you want to position your animal. So think about things like where their feet are going to be. Like if I'm doing a land animal like a turtle, I probably don't want it up in the air flying. I probably want it near the ground. Also think about spacing. I don't want it so close to the edge that my hand runs right off the edge. You know, if it's a bird, it might want to be higher up, all those sorts of things. Plan out exactly where you want your animal on your paper as you do this before you start tracing. And I do suggest using a pencil to start with for tracing because then you can fix stuff if anything doesn't go quite right the first time or if any line is not right. And I'm going to do mine on this green construction paper, but any paper works just fine. All right, so for my turtle, I'm going to use my knuckles. Remember, I want a nice space there for my head. I'm just going to kind of lay them out the way I want the feet of my turtle to be. And then I'm going to trace around. And this is true, no matter how you're doing it, you want to make sure you go all the way down to the ends of your fingers, all the way to get a nice leg shape so you can really tell the definition. Now for the thumb, I'm going to kind of lay it down flat there so that I can have a nice shape to my thumb there. And then for the back, my palm's probably a little bit too big, so I'm just going to draw my back in on its own there. You can see I got a little off in some of my lines, but I can always just fix those to have my shape a little bit better. And now I can add whatever other elements I want. So I'm going to take a green colored pencil to help draw in the rest of the shell here. And I might even want to trace over some of the other parts of the shell to be able to show that also. Maybe I want to draw some lines in, because turtle shells tend to have those shapes on them. Maybe I want to add an eye or a mouth. Then you can just keep going from there. Maybe I want to add a rock for him to sleep behind, a tree for shade, some grass to eat, all those sorts of things. You can really do whatever your creativity tells you makes the most sense at this point. But you can use that hand shape as your starting point and go from there. So we hope you have fun making a lot of different animals. Send us some pictures of your finished masterpieces. Thank you for joining us today. We hope to see you back here next time.